What's up? I'm excited to speak to you all. I've been all week, man. Just could not wait for this day. I even took off work 30 minutes early so I can get out here early. So listen, you guys just see me wearing the hats, the shirt, Outlaw to Salvation. What is Outlaw to Salvation? Well, we're about to learn that a little bit today, as soon as Phil gets back there to the computer. So this is going to be my story, Journey of Redemption. We can go ahead and switch to this, go to that first screen here. So I was born in 1977, no, that's it. I was born in 1972 in LA County, Bellflower, California. Grew up to the parents of Dennis and Tammy Weinball. That's me, go ahead and laugh. I used to have hair, go ahead and get your laugh out. It was there. Now, I only lived in California until I was about 5 years old, and we just packed up and left. I had no explanation why. I was too young to understand why, but we're gonna find out why here pretty soon. My family was pretty abusive. My mother, she would beat me for leaving a cabinet door open. She would beat me for not putting she'd just beat me for waking up. That was just the way she was. That's how I learned love, was just beatings. We can go ahead and go to that next screen. Now, my father, he didn't beat me too much, but he wasn't a father. He wasn't a mentor. He didn't give me anything of knowledge. But what he did do is instructed me to fight, okay? Didn't matter how old you were, how big you were, how many of there were of you, you could just come to my door and knock on the door, Mr. Weinbaum, I want to fight your son. And my dad, he would grab his Lucky Strike cigarettes and his coffee, and come on, boy, and we'd go out there and I'd fight. It didn't matter who it was. 5 years old, 6 years old, that was my life. That was it. I remember one time I was 12 years old, and this bigger kid, he came to the house, he wanted to fight me. I didn't want to fight, I was terrified. And of course, my dad made me go out there, and this kid, he was on me. And he was whooping me up, and I grabbed this cinder block and I cracked this kid. I'm like 7, 8 years old, grabbing cinder blocks, and I cracked this kid. I didn't get no punishment. My dad, well done. Good job. That's what he told me. You do anything to win. Because when you're in a fight, somebody's trying to hurt you. You can't allow that to happen. You imagine telling your 7-year-old brother, sister, niece, or nephew, it's okay to hurt somebody. That's how I was brought up. That's how my life was. Now, when I was about 12, 13 years old, my life changed drastically. You see the newspaper clipping? My dad used to own a security guard company. In 1986, my dad was arrested for contract killing. My dad used to kill people for the Los Angeles Police Department. That's why we abruptly left California in 77, because that was the last of his murders. So that put me on a trajectory that was crazy. I wanted, he was my idol. This was the man I looked up to. Although he wasn't good to me, he was the only man I knew. And now here he is, being taken away from me for murder. I'm never going to see him again. So, my parents were divorced at this time. I stayed with my stepmother. She didn't care about me. She could care less. As far as I'm concerned, she didn't even want me there. So I started smoking weed. I started huffing gas. Started huffing Glade. A couple of us called ourselves the Gladiators. For the too slow. Gladiators, we thought we were sharp. We wasn't sharp. But anyway, that would get me in trouble with the police, and I kept running away, and I was never home, so they would lock me up in these group homes. We called them spec homes back then, special homes. Now they call them boys' homes, girls' homes, stuff like that. But back then it was called spec homes. Now this was in the 80s. And I'm not going to get too graphic, but you can imagine what the staff were like there in the 80s. They were abusive mentally, physically, and sexually. Not to me, but to other kids. I was too violent. I was attacking staff. So I kept running from these group homes, and they'd catch me and put me in another group home, and I would run from that. And finally, Uncle Homer said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to send him to Raider. You can go ahead and switch to the next page. You know what? Actually, hold on. Go back. I forgot to do something. I want you to read this verse with me. We're going to read this together. Every slide, there's going to be a verse that I want us to read together. So we will go ahead and get started. You ready? Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Now we can go to the next screen real quick. We'll read that verse. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. Now we can go through that next one. So anyway, Uncle Homer was like, we're going to put him in Lloyd E. Raider. Now what Lloyd E. Raider was, it ain't like the juvenile detentions that they have today. Now we're regulated. They got the federal government and the states and everything, and there's regulations. Back in the 80s, we didn't have that. So they sent me to Raider. One side was a minimum security side, the other side was a maximum security side. Now, I wasn't a hardened criminal at this time. I was just a runaway, some kid that thought he was cool, huff and glade, right? So they sent me to the minimum security side. Now, in Raider over there, they had a point system that you could work your way out. You know, you do these points, you go through the program, you can get a weekend pass, then get a week pass and a month pass, and eventually get out. I just had one problem. I had nowhere to go. I didn't have a family. So that made me angry. I'm not going to do this program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you, staff members and everything. Because I've got nothing to work on. I got nothing. And the staff members there, boy, they were abused. So this place has been shut down. It got shut down, I want to say, in 2011. A lot of abuse, again, physically, sexually, mentally. It was a bad place. For me, I had fun. That was my cup of tea. I lived in violence. Remember, I started 5, 6 years old fighting. So being a teenager fighting was no problem with me. Didn't matter how big you were. That's what I wanted to do, was fight. And I did it well. We had riots. We had all kinds of things. So eventually, I got to act out like my father. I got to do my first hit. Another cat paid me 2 cartons of cigarettes to jump this other kid. And I did it. I felt good. It's just like my father. I made it. 14-year-old kid, and I made it. Getting paid for contracts. And that's how it went. And so, as I stated, I started off on the minimum security side. The maximum security side, now they had murderers, robbers, drug dealers, gangbangers, and all that stuff. And they used to scare us kids on the minimum security side. You keep getting in trouble, you're going to go over there. And that's how they would scare us. So one day, I had another hit. I had to attack a staff member named John. And I lured John, the staff member, into the mop closet. And I beat that man to unconsciousness. That brought me my first charge. That only didn't get me in trouble, that brought me my first charge. Where'd that lead me to? They don't send me to the maximum security side. I get to the maximum security side, I'm terrified for the first couple of days. Like, I'm in here with killers. I'm in here with robbers. I'm in here with gangbangers. I'm just a runaway. Within a week, I realized I was worse than some of these guys in here. I just hadn't acted out like they had. But I was more violent. I was more angry. I was more filled with resentment and hate and rage. So I went right back to my old ways. Right back to it. Started attacking staff. Started attacking inmates. Barricade myself in the cells. Just thinking, it was fun. And they'd have to cut through the plexiglass in the bars and come get me out. So I did this for a couple years. This is what I maintained, violence. I was known, I was feared. And then I went to chapel one day. And there was these kids. I call them kids, they were older than me, they were in their 20s, but they were college students from Oral Roberts University. And they had this thing, this glow. Like him, he's got a glow. Like you Christians out there, you got a glow. And they had this glow, and I went, what is this? I want this. I was so intrigued. What is this? Because I didn't have this glow. I lived in darkness. I lived in rage. So I was intrigued. So I go back the next Sunday, and they'd be there again. The next Sunday, and then they are again. And then one Sunday, they did that call. Y'all know what the call is. You go to church. We've done it here. Well, we call you up. I didn't even think about it. Like Eminem, my palms were sweaty, right? And I went up there. I didn't even think about it. I went right up there. And I gave my life to Jesus Christ. And immediately, my life changed. Immediately. I wasn't so angry anymore. I was still angry, but I wasn't so angry anymore. I wasn't so confused. And I started doing Bible studies with the other inmates. And I started helping out the chaplain. And anytime these kids from Oral Roberts University was there, I would go there and help them out. And I'm doing this for about a year. Then one day I had a court review coming up. I'm about 17 years old. I'd already been in this place for about 4 years now. And I had this court review that came up. And I got this overwhelming feeling, this God had told me, you're going to get out. Now, he didn't talk to me, Denny, you're getting out. He didn't say none of that. I just felt it. I was getting out. And I told everybody, I'm going to get out. And they laughed at me. You ain't getting out. The director, Larry Dobbs of psychology, said, Denny, you're not getting out. I'm going to recommend that you stay here till 18. You haven't even did good for a year yet. I said, no, I'm getting out. God told me I'm getting out. So court date comes, it's about 2 hours away in Oklahoma City, I'm in Tulsa. And I'm in the van, we're running late. In fact, I didn't even have a nice pair of shoes that day. I had to borrow these BKs, British Knights, from my homie, my cellmate. And we're running late, really late. I'm in this van, my first little thing of doubt started creeping in. We're running late. Jesus might not let me out now because I'm running late. So I opened up my Bible, I started reading scripture. All right, I'm getting out. I feel good now, I'm recharged. And we pull up in the back of the courthouse. My mom's out there, and I didn't have a good relationship with my mom, but she was trying. You know, she'd come visit me, put money on my book, stuff like that. So she's at the court, she's standing outside. We're incredibly late, about 30 minutes, and she's standing outside, she's crying. I go, oh boy, I ain't getting out. It ain't happening. So the security takes me out of the van, goes up to my mom, and says, Mom, what's up, why are you crying? She said, the judge, he let you go. She let me go. I said, well, what'd he say? That wasn't nothing positive. What he said was that I'd been there so long and I refused all the treatment that I was a waste of time and resources. But regardless of what he said, he let me go. In fact, I went home barefoot because I was wearing my friend's shoes. I had to give them back to security and send them back there. So I went home and I was doing good. I was in school, I was in high school, I had a girlfriend. I was about to speak at a MAD event. A lot of you too young to know what MAD is, but Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Big deal back in the 80s and 90s. I was going to speak at that event. I was going to speak at churches. I took the ASVAB test for the United States Army and I passed. I was going to go to the Army. I was going to be something. And then one day I was at the mall, Crossroads Mall, not this one in Oklahoma. And like, you know, teenagers do, we're hanging out in the mall, kicking it, getting numbers from girls, playing video games, all that stuff. And I ran into this kid named James. James was a little bit older than me. He had his own car, his own house, 2 joints in his pocket. Me and James went outside and we smoked that first joint. I never looked back. I put Jesus behind me. I turned my back on him. And when I did that, that darkness came back, that guilt, that shame. So I'm with James. I go back, you know, I've been hanging with him now for a couple weeks. I go home and I tell my mom, so listen, I'm moving out. I'm out. Can't stand it no more. You see, because my stepdad would beat my mom while I was back. And I couldn't handle that. So I said, I'm out of here. I'm going to go do my own thing. And in fact, the phone rang that night. And I answered the phone. It was a collect phone call from Folsom Penitentiary. It was my father. What's up, Dad? Yeah, man, I can't talk to you right now. Have a good night. And that was the last time I ever spoke to my dad. He passed away a few years after that. My last words to my dad I didn't have time for him. So that made me angry. So now, here I am, this kid, been locked up his whole teenage life. The last grade I completed was the 6th grade. I had no education. I had no job training. But I'm a hustler. So then I started selling drugs. I started getting into that. Doing all right now, I'm making money. But I didn't have no place to live. I had a half-sister though in Colorado. She said, I'm gonna help you out. You come out here, I'm gonna get you a trailer in Aurora, Denver, Colorado. So I moved out there. 17 years old, got my own place. How do you think that place was? How do you think that trailer was? That was a party house. That's where it was at. Every kid my age lived with mom and dad, so I was a party house. But I didn't have no job training. I had to keep the lights on. Had to keep the music bumping, so I started selling more drugs. Next thing you know, I'm the man. And everybody wanted to be around Denny. Everybody wanted to be around Denny. Started selling weed, cocaine, whatever, it didn't matter. Sold it all. Was making all kinds of money. Was renting warehouses and throwing raves, bringing in bands. I was the man. Got involved with gangs. 2 cats, they were twins, Boom and Bang. They came from California, Crenshaw Mafia Gangster Bloods. I started roaming with them out of Park Hill. So now I think I'm the man, right? I got the money, I got the flag, I'm banging, right? But that gets me in tighter circles, more violence, shootings. I've been shot at, I've shot people. I've had friends with the RIP on my neck. I've had friends shot, die right in my arms. So then I started selling to bikers, 1%ers, Sons of Silence, Real bikers, like the ones you've seen on TV, Sons of Anarchy, if you ever seen them, killers. I'm selling to them. They were racist. They didn't like me at all. Really didn't like me because I was a white boy that hung out with black folks. They didn't like me at all. And they would tell me they didn't like me. They would tell me they didn't allow my kind around there, but I was cocky, I didn't know any better. I'd look at my pager. That's how old I am. We had pagers back then. And you don't want my kind here. You're going to page me a dozen times a day. You might not want my kind, but you want my kind, right? One day, I went there to make a delivery, and I walk in the door. The door shuts me behind me. We're not even flicking here. I just went on and on. I'm sorry. So they closed. Yeah, that's it right there. Bikers smashed my hands. So the door closes behind me, and I notice these bikers, they got guns out now. Oh boy, I'm in a situation. So they sit me down on the chair for about an hour. They pistol whipped me, slapped me around. And I knew what they wanted. They wanted me to break. That's what they kept telling me, that I was a punk, that I wasn't what I was portraying. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of letting them know that they were right. So I was cocky, I was mouthy, and they pistol whipped me some more. Then eventually they said, we're going to go downstairs. We're going to go down into the basement. Now, I haven't heard stories about this basement. So for a second time in my life, now I don't know if I said it out loud, or I mumbled it, or I said it to myself, but I'm walking down them stairs into that basement. I said, Lord Jesus, I need you in my life. I need you to forgive me of all my sins. I need you in my life. We go downstairs. They sit me in a chair. They put a bar stool in front of me. Told me to put my right hand on the bar stool. And they had a pickaxe handle. Y'all know what a pickaxe handle is? It's kind of like an axe, but without the axe. So it's just a big, solid piece of oak, right? Big old handle. They say, put your hand down on the bar stool. And they put a gun to my head. And they said, if you flinch like we're going to shoot you like a, right? So I put my hand on the bar stool. Bam! They hit one time. They dusted it. That's my fist today. I can't make a fist. They dusted it. Shattered all my metacarpals. They said, okay, you can put your left hand down on the bar stool. So I put my left hand down on the bar stool. Bam! 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 They hit it like 4 or 5 times. All I got was a hairline fracture. That was it. So now I don't know what they're going to do with me. They're going to kill me. What are they going to do with me? Luckily for me, they didn't kill me or I wouldn't be standing here. They did end up letting me go. Now, I was in fear after that for about 4 or 5 months. I stayed in this apartment. I wouldn't even look out the window. I was terrified. Terrified. And then, something hit me. What power? What control? To be able to make somebody so afraid they won't even look out the window. They won't even leave the place. And I decided that I was going to be them. And that's what I turned into. Just like them. I did violent stuff for people. I broke hands. I broke legs. I shot people. I was the person that if somebody owed you money, you called me. I went and got your money. I was the type of person, if you said, Denny, this dope house has got all this dope and all these guns and all this stash, I was the one that went and got it. I was known in Denver, outlaw. So it's tattooed on my stomach. That was my street name. I didn't go by Denny anymore. I went by outlaw. And everybody knew it, and everybody feared it. I would walk into a dope house and tell everybody, don't you speak while I'm in here. Would nobody speak? Yeah, that's power. That's power, that's control. I'm the man. I'm just like my father now. Anyway, we can switch sides. So anyway, I ended up getting in trouble. 2 first-degree aggravated motor vehicle thefts, which is carjacking. Now, it wasn't like I was just carjacking somebody on the streets. Easiest way to collect money if somebody owes you money is take the car. Easiest way. So I got 2 first-degree aggravated motor vehicle thefts, possession of a deadly weapon. I had a sawed-off shotgun, and that other part you see up there, possession of a pipe bomb. I'm facing 25 to 56 years in prison because I'm the man, right? I got lucky, but I didn't get lucky. By God's grace, I only got 8 years. Now, while I was in prison, oh, that last verse. We didn't even do none of the verses, but Psalms 23:4, even I know we've all heard this. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Now, when I went to prison, we can go to the next slide. I had decided that I'm not going to turn to God. Because most people, when they go to prison or they go to jail or juvenile detention, the first thing they do, I did it, remember? Is they ask for God. But I turned my back on God. After I'd seen these miraculous things that he did for me, he let me out. I seen these nurses, I heard them sing in tongues to me, so I'd seen the power of Christ, but I turned my back on him, and I had this guilt, I had this shame, and I wasn't going to turn to God. So I'd served almost 8 years in 3 different prisons. Territorial, Buena Vista, and Herfano. In fact, that first photo is territorial. They call it territorial because back in the day, Colorado wasn't a state. It was called the territories. That prison was built from those rocks in that mountain by inmates back in the 1800s. That's what they called hard labor. So, but I knew when I went to prison that I was never, ever breaking the law again. And I didn't. So I served 8 years. We can go ahead and go to the next one. I was released December 21st of 1999, right back into Denver, where all my homies were, where all my bloods were, where all the dope was, where everybody knew me. And I knew that the only way to change was to get out of here. So I moved to Montana, deep in the mountains, like we're talking hillbilly status. And so that's why I moved, and it worked for me. It was hard. I didn't have any job training. Remember, no education, no job training, but I started doing concrete, started doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It was difficult. So what did I turn back to? Selling drugs to the hillbillies. Luckily for me, some kid wore a wire on me. I got busted. Now I'm facing, what happens when you got more than 3 felonies? I already got 4.
Third strike, you out.
Third strike. I already got 4. I'm about to get my 5th felony. I'm facing life in prison because I'm stupid, because I'm blind. Wanted to be the man, and I wasn't nothing. Again, God was there for me. The DA offered me 10-year sentence with 5 in, 5 suspended. So I only had to do 5 years in prison. I was like, bet I'm going to sign this plea bargain. I'm going to take it. I'd be a fool not to take it. So before sentencing date, I'd already accepted the plea bargain, stayed up all night with, family and all that, and partied and said our goodbyes. I go to court the next morning, and the judge says, Diddy, go ahead, because, when they sentence you, they tell you to rise, and I rose, and he said, Dennis Weinbach, I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in the Montana State Penitentiary. And I knew that was coming, right? I'd already signed the plea bargain. He said, but I'm going to suspend all 10 years. What? You're going to send me home. That's what you're going to do. You're going to send me home? He said, I'm going to give you a rope. This is literally what he said. His name was Judge Statler. This man was a blessing to me. He said, I'm going to give you a rope, Denny. So you're either going to climb out of this hole, or you're going to hang yourself with it. Now I'm going to let you know, after I did that 10-year suspended sentence, I actually sent this man a rope and said, thank you. I got out. I don't need it anymore. Give it to somebody else. But I still didn't turn to God. I didn't realize God, Judge Statler, didn't keep me out of prison. I didn't keep me out of prison. Jesus Christ did. In the other prison, when I was facing 25 to 56 years and only got 8, that was Jesus Christ. When the bikers didn't kill me, that was Jesus Christ. But I didn't see none of that because all this shame, it was like a curtain I couldn't see. We can go on to the next one. So finally, here I am in Montana, not going to prison, definitely not selling drugs anymore. God gives me a gift. He gives me Nico. This is my other gift here. God gave me Nico, who turns 18 next week. So 18 years ago, he gave me Nico. And what he did is he took the mom away. Mom didn't want him. They were Native American. Nico came out looking like a white kid. They didn't want nothing to do with him. So here I am. I got no family. I got no friends. I got this little baby that I had to go get breast milk from every day after work from his mom. I got this little baby. And God knew what was in my heart. And he said, we're wrapping it up real quick, Phil. And he said, Denny, I've given you so many chances. I've done everything for you, and you don't care about yourself. Whatever it is you got going on, your guilt, your shame, you don't care about yourself. He goes, but what I do know is in your heart. You are not going to mess this boy's life up. And he was right. He was right. Nico turns 18 next week. Nico signed a 6-year contract to the United States Army. He leaves next summer. He's never drank. He's never smoked weed. He's never been in trouble. He's never been into a fight. He turned out all right. And this is huge. Children are a gift from the Lord. They're a reward from him. And I just said that, right? He was my gift. I didn't even know that verse existed. But I knew that that was my gift. We can go on to the next one. But anyway, now I got to get Nico away from this crazy family that abandoned him because they were wild, right? I got to get him out of here, so I moved to Michigan. I met my wife, Colleen. She's my rock even to this day. We built a family. A lot of you know right here, this is my 10-year-old son. This is Tristan. We had a daughter named Peyton. I became a youth wrestling coach and a football coach, and I was accepted by the community, and I didn't understand why they were accepting me. I got teardrops under my eye. I got outlaw on my stomach. I sagged my pants. And they led me with these children, these youths, these 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and my wife, she's so smart, bless her heart. I would tell her, I'd be like, are these people blind? They gonna let me coach their kids? Do they not see what I look like and how I act and how I talk? And she said, Denny, they don't see what you see. They see Denny. You see outlaw. She's brilliant. She's brilliant. She's smart. She was right. And she was right. My life changed. I'm with the community now. I never had a family before. Mine wasn't good to me. They abandoned me. They left me. They beat me. All I ever wanted was a family. That's why I joined gangs. That's why I was a drug dealer, because I thought all these friends, all these people that came to me, they loved me. But what I craved was a family. And God sets the lonely in families. He leads out the prisoners with singing. I didn't even know that Bible verse existed. And it's talking to me. It's talking to all of us. I didn't even know it existed. So we can go on to the next screen. So now I got this great life. I own a beautiful home. I got a beautiful wife. I got 3 beautiful children, 2 beautiful dogs. I got a great job. Everything is going good. In June of this year, I got diagnosed with bladder cancer. I'm good now. I'm good. It's clear. We just took my last test. I'm good. But it made me angry. And my wife and my kids were gone. And I'm praying to God, and I'm mad, and I'm lashing out at God. Why are you giving me all this great stuff? Why have you changed my life only to give me cancer? Why? And then it hit me. Bro, you're saved. You're saved. You gave your life to Jesus Christ. If the cancer is bad and it takes you, you go home. If it's not bad, then you stay in this home. And if you ask me, that's a win-win situation. Win-win. So then the Spirit came over me. And I like to say ever since then, I've been in this spiritual hurricane. The Spirit has lit a fire in me, and I got 3rd-degree burns from it. So I dropped to my knees and I said, Lord, I know what you want. You want me. You've always wanted me. I'm going to lay it all down. My fears, my anxiety, my anger, my shame, my guilt, everything good and bad. I can't handle it no more. I'm just a human being. But you can handle it. I'm not driving no more. I'm going to get out this driver's door, and I'm going to walk around, and I'm going to jump in the seat next to you. Not behind you, because I want to be with you. And that's what I did. And since I've done that, all these amazing things have happened in my life. All I had to do was surrender. I've been a Christian since I was 16 years old. But when I surrendered, truly in my heart, all these things, we can go to the next page, all these things, outlaw salvation began. I knew that my path was to work with people that live lives like me, because now I can connect, right? I can connect to the gangbanger, the drug dealer, the addict, the abandoned, the incarcerated, because I've been through all of that. I'm not just some guy that learned all this knowledge out of a book. I learned it because I lived it. I can connect. He revealed he had this path for me. Like it says up here, it's not just a ministry, but a mission. I realized he was with me every step of the way. He never left me. Not in prison, not in rebellion, not in cancer. My purpose is clear, to bring the lost to the Lord. Now I went back to this verse here. Remember, we started this in the beginning. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you before I set you apart. So that was the beginning verse, the beginning of the script, and that's the last one because it proved to me. He knew. He knew. He already had my life set in front of me. We can go to that next one. So that's how Outlaw Salvation began. In this ministry, in the movement, I started sharing on TikTok, other social media. I've got a podcast. I wrote a book, which is doing really, really well. I belong to 12th Street Baptist. I've given my testimony there. I've got a huge event coming May 16th of next year, big evangelical event that I've said. These are the things that God's prepared for me. Next screen, and we are done, I believe. Now, important thing is, he did it for me. He can do it for all of you. He can do it for the friends you know that might be living bad lives. He can do it for everybody. I'm living proof. It don't matter how bad you are, Jesus forgives. He gives salvation. And he's been waiting on you, just like he's been waiting on me. We go to the next one, and it should be the last one. This is one of my most important verses in my life. And I'm going to read it, and then we are done. The Spirit of the sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me, a violent man, a thug, a criminal, a dealer. He anointed me to proclaim the good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release the darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. And that should be it. It should be the last slide right there. So listen, that's my story. If you want to hear more, my podcast is on Spotify. I've got a book out called Outlaw to Salvation. Xavier's reading it right now, and he's enjoying it. Anytime you want to talk, if you are struggling, I am here for you. I understand. These ministers here, the other ministers who leads, they're here for you. I love you folks. I truly, truly mean that. I'm never going to leave. I'm going to be here until these doors close, or I close. I promise you that. Amen.
Did we hit record? We did.